Hey, Laura, this is Jacob. How's it going?
Hey Jacob, good. How are you doing?
Doing very well, and thanks for joining us ahead of our Plug in NC National Drive Electric Week EV road trip.
Yes, thank you so much for including us. We're very excited about your travels.
Yeah, it certainly looks a little bit different this year, but we're really excited to hit the road and visit not only the Outer Banks, but really much of Eastern North Carolina, and yeah, just kind of see what kind of distance we can cover this week and what kind of communities we can visit.
Right on. You're gonna have a good time.
Great. So for everybody watching, I'm joined by Laura Ertle, who's the Director of Public Relations and Marketing at Cape Hatteras Electric Cooperatives on the Outer Banks. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, thanks for having us.
Yeah, and so what we're going to be looking to do today, just so everybody watching knows, we just wanted to kind of talk through the charging infrastructure and some of the strategies that the electric cooperatives in Cape Hatteras is kind of taking to kind of like lead the way with electric vehicles and kind of share your story. So maybe we can just dive into a couple questions and talk things through.
Sounds great.
All right, cool. Well, so first of all, just for all of our viewers who might not be familiar, could you tell us a little bit about Cape Hatteras Electric Cooperatives?
Sure. So Cape Hatteras Electric, we serve just over 7,800 meters on Hatteras Island with electricity. Hatteras Island is part of the Outer Banks of North Carolina. It's home to a large portion of the Cape Hatteras National Seashore, and it is home to some of the most beautiful beaches on the East Coast. We've got some world-class fishing, water sports, surfing. It's also home to the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse, which is the tallest lighthouse in North America. Make sure you stop and see it on your trip. So we've got a lot of great things going on out here.
Awesome. Yeah, I've been there before, but I actually didn't realize it was the tallest lighthouse in the continent.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, very cool. All right. So, you just touched on it a little bit in terms of the tourism and kind of the environmental and recreational kind of appeal of Hatteras Island and the Outer Banks. Could you tell us a little bit more maybe about what makes Cape Hatteras Electric Cooperative different than many of the other cooperatives or even utility service areas that we might be familiar with in North Carolina?
Sure. Well, besides our extreme coastal environment that we are serving here, we have a really unique makeup of people on the island. So half of our members are year-round residents. They live here full-time on the island. The other half are what we call secondary homeowners. So they own property on Hatteras, but they live elsewhere and they rent this property through property rental companies for the purpose of vacations. And then this other group of people that we have coming here are the tourists, which they come all year round. It is a very popular tourist destination, but that kind of leaves us with a broad spectrum of expectations, especially when it comes to things like electric vehicles. So we are working to make sure that we have everything we need here on the island for those that are coming from other areas, and trying to get everybody on the same level of education and things like that.
Yeah, interesting. And I knew that it was a big split, of course, between full-time residents and rental properties and kind of second level properties. But yeah, I can imagine that makes for a pretty interesting way to engage with your members really across the territory.
Yes. Yeah, and that kind of led us down the path of bringing public charging to the island. So prior to 2018, there was only one place on the island that you could charge your electric vehicle at a charging station, and that was at the Inn on Pamlico Sound. It's a private business in Buxton. The chargers were available to the public, though. But as we started to kind of see these things become more prevalent and we started noticing more and more visitors bringing them down to the island, that's when we started to think about, this might be a great time for us to kind of do the research and see what we need to do to bring public charging to the island. So that was 2018. We brought 2 level 2 stations. We put one on the northern side of the island in Waves Village, and then we put the second charger in Hatteras Village, which is the very southern village on the island. And right away, people started using them. It was so crazy. As soon as we brought them online, they were already being used, which was shocking to us, but it was great. It was what we wanted. So from there, it's really grown.
Very cool. Yeah, and we'll certainly get into the DC fast charger that you guys have online as well. And as we kind of transition to talking about the charging infrastructure that is now on the island, and that you guys have really been working to fill some of those gaps. I know, especially as a non-Tesla driver, it can be a little bit tough coming from other areas of the state to kind of get out that far east with maybe some of the gaps that have existed through certain portions really of the state. So, as we think about the level 2 stations versus the DC fast charging station, was one level or charging level kind of targeted more towards tourists, where one was kind of more for residents, or was it kind of a blended ecosystem for both? Or what was the thought process there?
I think that the level 2s were initially thought of for our visitors. We haven't really had a ton of adoption of EVs or even hybrids yet for our year-round members. We're working on that too. We'll talk about that later. We're doing some programs to try and encourage that adoption. But I think the level 2s, for the price point and for the amount of use that they can get, the range of vehicles they can charge, and again, these are level 2, they're the ChargePoint brand. I think that was a really good network to go with, and it was, the right level for visitors that wanted to come down initially, and it was very well received.
Awesome. Yeah. And so, in support of that, or in addition to that, you guys worked to get a DC fast charging station online, I believe in Avon. So could you tell us a little bit about that?
Correct. So in 2019, we brought the island's first DC fast charger in partnership with our statewide organization, NCEMC. We brought that to Avon, correct. And that is a kind of a centrally located spot. You're right halfway down the island. And so we energized that at the end of 2019. Again, immediate use of people, really, really well received. And, the beginning of the year, this year was a little bit different. As you know, Dare County did limit access to the area in the spring, but the island was able to open up in May, and we have been slam busy ever since. It's so great to see people coming down. And that DC fast charger, it gets used almost every day. And it's really interesting to see people just take to it so quickly.
Yeah, for sure. And can you share what percentage or any idea in terms of some of the statistics with where people are traveling and charging, or that are charging, where they're traveling from?
Yeah, so with the ChargePoint network, you can go in and see driver zip codes of those that are using the stations, which is one of my favorite things to check out. It's so interesting to me. We get a lot of visitors from North Carolina because it's such a big state. And then we have visitors from all over. So the Northeast, like New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, a lot of visitors like to come to Hatteras Island anyway. So we've seen those zip codes in there. Florida, Ohio, Tennessee, they are coming from all over. And just last week, we actually had 2 separate drivers charging, both from Northern California. So we do have some cross-country travelers, which it's a great time to do that because, people are looking to go places where you can drive to and kind of isolate yourself if you need to. So it's really been an enjoyable thing to watch. Just this year, we've had 85 unique drivers. We've distributed over 3 megawatt hours of energy for charging. So we are jamming on the public chargers. It's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. And thinking about especially the coast to coast road trip is certainly an inspiration and really fun to see.
That's great.
Yeah, very cool. All right. And so, as we have folks that are going to be charging in that area, can you share a little bit about, maybe what the kind of the community impact is for having charging stations and some of that partnership? But, how are they engaging on the island with, businesses and recreational sites in a way that might kind of build on, what they would be doing with maybe a traditional ICE vehicle?
Sure. Well, it's definitely brought an economic boost to these areas. It's so cool to watch, on the plug share and the different social networks, what people say they're doing and where they're going. All 3 of our public chargers are within walking distance to the beach. So that's always a very popular thing. understandably. But we also have a lot of really good restaurants. There's retail, specifically closer to the Avon DC Fast. There's this really great tavern, Pangea Tavern, if you want to grab a bite to eat, right across the street. There's some really good retail shopping. There's a pizzeria. Hatteras Island Board Sports, great surf shop. You can actually rent yourself a surfboard, walk back across the street, catch some waves while your car charges. And then, of course, there's the Avon Fishing Pier directly next to our charger. And so whether you're taking a walk on the pier or you want to cast out and catch some fish, there's a lot going on in that area. And I would say it's pretty fun to charge your car there.
Yeah, awesome. And you know, I feel like sometimes we might actually be wishing it was a level 2 station or a little bit slower with so much to do. So
that's funny.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Well, you know, so we've talked a little bit about, you know, the specific charging stations that you guys have in the service territory. And you mentioned the partnership that you've had with the statewide organization, NCEMC. Could you talk a little bit more maybe about what the collective EV strategy is for the co-ops here in the state? And, you know, through Advanced Energy and Plug and NC, we work with the utilities a lot. And it's been really fun to see, you know, not just what all the utilities have been doing, but specifically what the co-ops have really been doing across the state. Could you tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, North Carolina's electric cooperatives are doing some incredible work on the EV front. We're working really hard to expand that charging network, to expand it to rural parts of the state. There's so many benefits when you can bring a charger in and fill those gaps between the urban areas. And as I'm sure you're going to experience on your road trip, some of the best places in North Carolina are off the beaten path. And these new charging stations that the co-ops are putting in is really kind of filling that gap in and allowing people to get out there and drive places in their EV that they haven't before. And there's so many opportunities for commerce and tourism around these things. It's been really great to see. I know a lot of the co-ops are also working on the education front. This is still a new technology, and there's a lot of people who are questioning it and don't understand it, or they're interested in finding out more. NCEMC has made this great website. It's called ncdriveelectric.com, and it's a really user-friendly website with a lot of cool info. There's some myth busting, there's a fuel calculator, really interactive. So we've used that here at our co-op to help educate our members and business owners as well. And then a lot of the co-ops are offering special programs, incentives, rates, rebates, things like that, you know, to try and encourage the adoption and just go with what the membership is wanting to do, which is great.
Yeah, and so for you guys specifically, is there anything kind of, you know, that's also on tap for other initiatives, maybe in partnership with some of those other outreach and education efforts that you just mentioned with NCEMC, or anything else that's kind of top of mind for CHEC?
Yeah, so here at Cape Hatteras, we are running a home charger rebate. So that's a $100 rebate for people who want to put a level 2 charge point charger in their home. Either it's for themselves or they're putting it in their rental home as a guest amenity. We also have a time of use rate, which makes your electricity rate a lot lower in the middle of the night when the demand for electricity is low. So we're trying to encourage people to charge their vehicle overnight. Helps them, helps us. And then we also have this really fun program where we are letting our members come and borrow a fleet vehicle from us, which is an all-electric Nissan Leaf. They have to bring their driver's license, proof of insurance, but then they can go ahead and take our Leaf for up to 2 days. Drive it anywhere in the county that they like, enjoy it, take it home, charge it, and really get a feel for it, which has been a really popular program. We live so far away from a dealership down here, and it's really kind of 4-wheel drive country, a lot of big trucks and things like that. So it's been fun to see people get into the seat of this very zippy little EV. And I mean, I didn't really understand the whole electric vehicle thing until I sat in a seat and drove one. It's the best way to encourage people to really get into this thing. So we've had a good time with that program.
Very cool. Yeah, I was going to ask if you know, if any of the members could take it on a road trip, but I guess they can hop around. You think any of them are you know, taking it on the beaches or on the sand?
Well, you know, so far, not that I know of. She still looks pretty good sitting out there, so I think everybody's being responsible so far, but you never know.
Very cool. Yeah, well, that's great. Well, I really appreciate your time today and can't wait to get out there. I guess just to close out, is there anything kind of next up for you guys that you're really excited about, or any parting words or recommendations that I could, take from you before embarking on the trip?
Sure. Well, I think you're going to have a great time. And we're very excited that you're coming to Hatteras. I guess my parting words for existing EV drivers is to definitely put Hatteras Island on your next road trip. And you won't be disappointed. It's gorgeous out here. You're really going to have a good time. And I think from a utility standpoint, bringing the infrastructure to the island was a very good thing for us. It's really done a lot for the area. And now what we're seeing is some of our commercial members are inquiring about putting their own charging stations on their own property, which would be a great thing. They see the benefits of it. And I think it's just from here on out, it's just going to grow.
Good stuff. Well, please keep us posted at Plug in NC, and we'll be happy to share how that develops over the coming months and years. And thanks again for all your time and hard work.
Very cool. Yep. Thanks for having us. We can't wait to see you on Hatteras.
Yeah, we'll see you soon. Take care.
Bye, Jacob.
All right. Bye-bye.